If we lose to Arsenal, I'm singing Glory, Glory, Man United in the next podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to the episode 3 of A Foot Offside. So today we'll be covering Gameweek 2, the UEFA Super Cup match which happened last night. Lots of exciting games to talk about. So can you want to start off? Which game would you want to take? Probably the Spurs match, I believe.
Yeah, so Spurs won 5-2 versus Southampton at St. Mary's Stadium. Southampton were dominant in first half. They showed a lot of quality and panache. Danny Ings scored a very good goal early on. He was making a lot of good chances. He had a lot of good plays, and I felt that Tottenham fielded a whole different squad in the second half. I mean, it was a fresh outlook, fresh squad. I mean, it looked like a whole different team, and they relentlessly tried to penetrate into the middle third. In my opinion, Lo Celso had a very impactful game when he subbed in for Ndombele. Spurs played very well after that, and Son and Kane were amazing. I mean, both of them scored. Son scored 4 goals, and Kane assisted all of them. I mean, Kane joined an elite list of players with 4 assists in a Premier League match. Along the likes of Bergkamp, Adebayor, Reyes, Cazorla. And this first time all the 4 assists were to the same player. Southampton were absolutely abysmal in the second half. I mean, they showed no intent to win, and it is quite rare to see a Jose Mourinho side score 5 goals. And so Spurs won, and all in all, a good game week for Spurs. 3 points.
Was Mourinho unhappy they scored 5?
He should be unhappy. They conceded 2 though. But yeah.
They're like all the 4 goals were like ditto copy. Just
Yeah,
spoof it as soon as Kane got it. Somehow Southampton just forgot how to defend in the second half. I think the next match I want to discuss, probably my favorite game from the week, in which Manchester United played. And I don't know if you even want to call this an upset. Eric,
So your favorite game isn't the Arsenal game?
That's okay, bro. We win all the time, but seeing you lose is much better.
Okay, well, it was United's first game of the season, but I don't want to use that as an excuse because they were just so bad. Losing 3-1 to Crystal Palace, a team that a lot of people think is going to get relegated this season, myself included.
Not a lot of people. It was like
half of our panel.
And now that they have 6 points after 2 games,
yeah. So I don't know. Half our panel thought they'd get relegated, but yeah, 6 points in 2 games. They beat United 3-1. And although that sounds like a really good thing, I don't think Crystal Palace played that great. It was just United that was so poor. I mean, 7 minutes into their Premier League campaign, they conceded. After that, United had a lot of the ball, but they just didn't look like they could score. It was very, very slow. It didn't look like they were going to score at all. It was just slow, and it was very hard to watch, to be honest. And that's how the first half went. It just dragged on with nothing really happening. And then, in the second half, Mason Greenwood came on in place of James. I don't know why James was playing in the first place. He doesn't really do anything except run straight. And I'm not going to criticize him too much because no one played well, to be honest, in the first half. But yeah, when the second half started, they did look a little better. But then it was again Crystal Palace who scored the second goal from something which I think is very debatable. So Crystal Palace, there were 2 penalties in this game, and United didn't get either of them, first of all, which is shocking.
Yeah.
But
the most surprising part of the match.
Yeah. So Lindelof conceded a penalty, and it was a penalty that was from a handball, which was unintentional. But according to the new rules, that is a handball. So, I mean, you can't argue with VAR giving that as a penalty, although it did come a good at least 20 seconds after that happened. But yeah, according to the new rules, that's a penalty. And a lot of football pundits are against it, but yeah, it's the rules. And one of the referees after the match, so there is that referee, they have the top post-match analysis and they ask him about their decisions and all. So if De Gea was not in that position and if it was a very clear goal scoring opportunity, he said that Lindelof may have even gotten a red card for that. So I don't know. But anyway, David De Gea, a goalkeeper who has a 7% penalty saving rate in the Premier League, managed to save the penalty. And then again, some 20, 30 seconds later, VAR, they stop the match and David De Gea jumped slightly off the goal line. Now again, this is a proper rule. It's valid. But, the days before VAR, you don't see these kind of things. So, yeah, they got a second penalty and, yeah.
If only VAR had as bad of a connection as yours.
I know, right? So, yeah, just to make things worse, Zaha took the penalty and he scored. While Alex Ferguson watched his last signing score a goal. His first of 2 goals, by the way. Yeah, so after that, United did manage to get 1 goal back from their new signing, Donny van de Beek, who was the only positive from the game. Yeah, but again, soon after that, Lindelof made another mistake. It was very, very poor from him. And Zaha scored his second. So, I mean, just looking at the game, there's a lot of warning signs for Man United, If they don't sign Sancho, which they will. But if they don't, and Telles has also been dragging along for a while. So, it's going to be a very, very long season if they don't do something in the transfer market.
Yeah, I think that centre-back pairing doesn't work, in my opinion. Lindelof
Yeah, it
and
doesn't.
Maguire.
And Bailey actually played pretty well against Luton Town. I mean, I know it's Luton Town, but
Yeah,
Bailey
yeah.
is, in my opinion, he's the best defender in United. Better than Maguire, but yeah, he can't stay fit. So, I don't know. Maybe Smalling won't leave. I don't know if he's going to start playing again, but Lindelof has been one of our better defenders, so we can't just, after 1 game, kick him out. But I don't see United signing a centre-back because that doesn't seem to be what they're looking for.
Hey, you have so many centre-backs technically on paper because, I don't know.
Yeah, we have like
Since
20,
you guys
but
are not
all of them
selling
are
any,
bad.
why should you get more, right?
I mean, only Bailey is good from all of them, and he's fit like for 1 month in the season. The rest of them are. I mean, okay, Maguire was 80 million, so let him play. But the rest of them, I don't know.
So are you guys still on course to end up third without
Uh,
Sancho?
Without
This-
Sancho, we're probably gonna get some 6th or something, man.
No,
Everton is probably gonna get ahead of us.
His prediction the game week before the season was with Sancho first and without Sancho third.
I mean, it's still early days. It was just their first
But
match.
without Sancho yeah, like without Sancho still meant getting more signings apart from Sancho, right? I hope.
Yeah, they're gonna get Telles for sure, 100%.
Okay. Let's move on to I think the main event, which was pretty boring in my opinion. The Chelsea versus Liverpool game. Who all got their predictions right? I think Eric got his
I got it
prediction
right,
I got
bro.
it right.
Yeah.
I said 2-1.
A pretty boring, uneventful game. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I loved the game, to be honest, because I think from a Liverpool fan's point of view, seeing Thiago play was like a huge thing. I mean, I didn't know he was this good, or I haven't watched him play or observed him that closely in a game like that. But he's, I think, a different class to anyone we have. And in terms of technical ability, I think he slots right into probably the top 5 players in the league right now. So amazing signing for 30 million. I actually think, contrary to what a lot of people were saying, Chelsea were pretty competitive in the first half. Like, I wouldn't say that the edge or anything, but they were definitely in the game. And they lost primarily because of 2 stupid errors, I think, again. One was obviously Christensen and whatever he was doing with Mane. And second was Kepa, who I think is playing so badly that I feel sorry for him now, to be honest. And they signed a goalkeeper almost immediately after that, Mendy.
Yeah. I think I think they announced it last.
Yeah.
So I think in some ways it's good for Kepa that at least he won't be in the limelight for the next few weeks, hopefully, and find some.
The
form.
guy has a 7-year contract and
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
humongous
7 years.
wages.
Yeah.
So it's
I
really difficult
don't
to
know.
offload him also.
Doesn't look too good for him right now.
Hmm.
So yeah, anyway, coming back to the match, I think overall Liverpool had like a pretty solid performance, nothing extraordinary. Mane was, I think, one of our best players. For me, the man of the match was Fabinho, who I think whenever he's played centre back because of injuries, he's done extremely well, like to the point where you might even want to play him as your second centre back with Van Dijk. And I think one of the amusing things in the game was Jorginho missed a penalty after a very long time, and Alisson saved his first penalty for Liverpool ever, other than the Mahrez miss, which obviously went above the crossbar. So
Okay.
that was a sort of statistical anomaly, I guess. But I think otherwise it was really Chelsea's errors that they defeated themselves in a way. But Liverpool were very commanding, and I think they would have ended up winning 1-0, 2-0 anyway. So from our point of view, obviously Arsenal up next. So one more tough challenge.
So coming to the Arsenal game, we didn't play that good in my opinion. West Ham were pretty poor last week, so they stepped up big time against us in my opinion. They could have even won that game in my opinion, but I think it's a sign of a good team that we won that game. The main problem I think which we had was Kieran Tierney got injured with a slight precaution during the training just before the warm up before the match, and he's like one of our best players, and we had to put Kolasinac in, which is like the biggest downgrade any team could have in that position.
I'm not sure about that.
And yeah, and then for Arsenal at least, like going from KT to Kolasinac is like it was so awful to watch. Man, I just don't want to see him ever playing for us again. But I had to see him again midweek also. That guy doesn't know how to cross, and so KT is good like both offensively and defensively. Kolasinac is like basically neither, and he kept getting bullied, which is out of his position, which is pretty surprising from his size.
I thought his biggest strength asset was his strength.
I'm like, but you need to know when to use it also, right? Like if you are out of position most of the time, I don't know how you're going to use it. And but attacking wise, he's good, like decent. He makes like strong runs and stuff, but like his crossing is dreadful. But obviously, I think our quality shown in the end. I think the first goal was pretty good. We had a commanding position, like for majority of the first 20 minutes were a bit sloppy, but then once we scored the goal, we had command over the game. Then like a momentary lapse, possibly we ended up conceding right at halftime, which is like exactly the time when you don't want to concede. Basically, you want to go and to halftime with a lead, and they came back firing West Ham, and they had pretty close calls. But I think West Ham looked pretty decent. Especially Antonio, that guy is very very good. At least in his hold up play up front, like he can bully center backs pretty well. So not particularly great game for Arsenal, but I think we're just happy with the 3 points in our case. But the team I was actually very happy from what seeing was Everton. I think I am so blown away by this team. I think they won 5-2 against West Brom, but I think they could have easily gotten even more. I don't know. I'll be the first to admit that I was wrong. Like I had predicted James Rodriguez to flop. This guy is just taking over games by himself. Like out of the 5 goals, I think 4 of them were like made indirectly through him. He scored his first goal for Everton as well, and obviously Dominic Calvert-Lewin getting his hat trick as well, first career hat trick for him. I think his England call up should be soon. I hope he's been performing really well since like the end of last season. Like whenever Ancelotti took over, he has been very very reliable, getting lots of goals as well, which was probably his like the only problem which he had in his game. And West Brom were poor. My ex Arsenal man Kieran Gibbs, I don't know what happened to him. He just punched James Rodriguez. He was just sad how good he was. I don't know. That was the most stupidest shit I've ever seen. got sent off. But somehow West Brom scored an amazing free kick though. But in the second half, bring it up to 2-2. But I think it was just a James Rodriguez show after that. He was very very good.
James had played for 2-3 years under Ancelotti in Real also.
Yeah. That is why
Or
he
was
wanted him, right?
Ancelotti?
That was one of the.
Okay.
Both. He played
Ancelotti
for-
was the one who bought him, right?
Yeah,
I also
Real.
am not too sure. Just
yeah.
I think he has
Yeah,
played
but
under
like he
him
played
both
under
at
him.
both.
That is why Ancelotti trusted
His
him a lot.
his first goal
You could
for
see like
his first goal for Everton, Real Madrid, and Bayern Munich was under Ancelotti.
Oh,
he's
Fun
very
facts.
good. I just want to see him up against like the top center mids and probably I don't know what the fixture list for Everton looks like. So I want to see them up against like real quality teams like contenders and all. I think they can do pretty well. Like they have been looking well. That would be their real test, and they have been sailing through. I think they are currently at the top of the table by the looks of GD and all. So I think we'll just move on to the next game. I think another team which has been performing pretty well, getting both their wins, has been Leicester. Eric, what do you make of them?
So Leicester 2 wins in 2. They won against Burnley 4-2, which is, it's always impressive beating Burnley by a score like that because, under Sean Dyche, their defense has been very organized and compact. So, good performance by Leicester. But the match was actually closer than the scoreline suggested. It was actually Burnley who scored the first goal. But, soon after that, like very soon after that, Leicester equalized. And Leicester's second goal was a very, very fortunate goal. It was an own goal, which is sad from Burnley's point of view. But yeah, it was a goal. Again, Leicester scored the third. Burnley managed to get a second, and it looked like it was going to be a close finish towards the end. But yeah, Leicester scored the fourth goal. And yeah, they're looking promising. The last time they won their first 2 games of the season, they won the Premier League. But
God, is that
still
true?
early days. Yeah, that is true.
Damn.
But this was Burnley's first game of the season though, and they didn't have all of their main players, so I wouldn't be too worried if I was a Burnley fan, if there are any.
So, can you want to do a rapid fire Newcastle and Aston Villa games? I
Okay,
think
so
they're pretty standard.
so Aston Villa played with Sheffield at home. They came to Villa Park, and Sheffield, after a disappointing result versus Wolves, Grealish and Tyrone Mings signed a contract which kept them at Villa Park till 2024. It wasn't a great start for Sheffield as they lost their centre back John Egan early in the first half. He was sent off for pulling back Watkins during a goal scoring chance.
Was that a little soft, don't you think, or what?
Yeah, but it was a goal scoring chance, and I mean Watkins
True.
could have scored.
Talk about my man Emiliano Martinez, bro.
So yeah, Aston Villa conceded a penalty late in the first half, and Emi Martinez, their new signing, saved John Lundstrom's penalty, making it a very dream debut for him and a new Aston Villa hero, I guess. And then Aston Villa,
so good.
Aston Villa scored off a corner in the end. The goal was scored by Ezri Konsa, and it was a combination of both centre backs. Mings flicked it to Konsa, and he scored. And Aston Villa should be pretty happy with the result. 3 points, clean sheet, and a good debut for Emi Martinez.
I think Ampadu also got his debut for Sheffield, right?
Yeah.
That game. But I think Aston Villa played like a bit pretty poor. Like for the majority of the game, Sheffield United was down to 10 men. Like Grealish was not able to create enough clear-cut chances for them, even though they've got a new striker and all.
Sheffield managed to be in the game even after losing the centre back very early in the game. So that was good character from Sheffield, but unfortunately for them, they lost the match. Coming to the Newcastle-Brighton game, Brighton after their loss to Chelsea must have wanted to win versus Newcastle. Neil Maupay scored 2 early goals. I mean, one was off a penalty and one was off a cross from Leonardo Trossard. After the first 2 goals, I mean, there was no real fight back from Newcastle. Lamptey had a very good game. He played very well. Like, he was one of the top performers for Brighton. Aaron Conley scored a beautiful goal in the second half, which extended the lead to 3. And Brighton's midfielder Bissouma was sent off. I mean, it was a very reckless challenge. And it was very late in the game. Overall, it was a good performance by Brighton, and they deserved those 3 points.
I think Newcastle's best player, Saint Maxime, also had to be substituted off because of some injury initially.
He even considered the first penalty.
Yeah. So you want to take the 7-goal thriller from Elland Road?
Yeah, sure. I end up watching one every week. So Leeds won 4-3 against Fulham, and it was like a really exciting match again. And all 4 of their goals, like one was a penalty, the other 3 goals were like amazing. Helder Costa scored 2 goals, the first and the third one, and they were brilliant strikes. And again, technically a very gifted team. And they were 4-1 up, and I think they almost threw the match. So you almost got like prime Barcelona vibes. So other than that, I mean, attacking wise, they're obviously really good. But if you're conceding 3 against Fulham, I'd be fairly concerned. I don't know how long their attack and the raw technique of their forward line can bail them out of such a leaky defense, because a lot of the goals they conceded were, I think, preventable. Both sides conceded penalties which were really unnecessary. But I think compared to a lot of the other sides who are playing pretty drab football and you would think they're favorites for relegation, I'm sure they're a very progressive side which I think can do really well.
They recently made a signing for Diego Llorente from Real Sociedad. He is a up-and-coming prospect.
I think a few days back, just a few days back it happened.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm pretty optimistic about their chances.
Okay. I'll take up the final game then. It was Wolves versus Man City. I think this game was a game of 2 halves, basically. First half, Man City dominated, got a comfortable 2-0 lead. They're playing Wolves off the park, like completely off the park. Foden was very impressive in my opinion. But second half, it completely switched. Like Wolves could have easily won this game. The amount of chances that they missed was impressive, I think. So Man City also, this was their first game coming off whatever. No one had a preseason technically. But I don't know what happened to Man City. They weren't able to cope up with the intensity that Wolves were putting out. And I think Podence played fabulously. But I think they were just not clinical enough in front of the goal, which led to a counter-attack goal in the end, scored by Gabriel Jesus. But that backline of Man City, of Mendy, Nathan Ake and John Stones was looking very vulnerable. I think Wolves on a better day or any better team could have easily scored 3-4 maybe.
Speaking of City's centre-back problems, City is trying to sign Sevilla's French centre-back, Jules Koundé. Yeah, so that he is a good prospect and hopefully he does.
I think so. Their priority one was Koulibaly.
Koulibaly
is too expensive. I think, but second and third is Koundé and Ruben Diaz from Benfica.
Ruben Diaz
How expensive is Koulibaly?
He's
70 around. That is the quoted price.
I mean, if you can pay 50 for Laporte, for that guy Cancelo, then like why can't you pay 75?
But Koulibaly is 29 and Koundé and all are very young.
Okay, maybe.
So you're basically taking a player in his prime, like very, very prime. That is the only difference. But like talking about Koundé, we had the Bayern versus Sevilla Super Cup game. Pretty entertaining game in my opinion. Either side could have won, but Bayern came out on top. It was pretty expected, but I think Sevilla gave a very commendable performance. Like they matched Bayern most of the game. Like they were drawn at the 90th minute. Could have even won it in the last minute. What about you, Kevin? What do you make of Sevilla side?
First of all, I'd like to. Before the start of the season, during the start of the season, Bundesliga season, Muller didn't get that many number of games. And when Hansi Flick came in, he started playing Muller and he provided so many assists last season and he was probably one of their best players. and he was very good last match, especially his the ball that led to the goal was amazing. And speaking about
Oh,
Sevilla,
this guy is so good.
yeah, I mean, speaking about Sevilla, I'm a huge fan of Lopetegui. I mean, I loved him when he was the Spain's manager. I think he was a manager for 20 games and he was unbeaten. And I was looking forward for the World Cup because I mean, Lopetegui and Spain were looking very good, unbeaten 20 games. But then he got the Real Madrid offer and sacking everything, and I was really disappointed. But again, he's done well with Sevilla, and again he won the Europa League, of course, and he played. I mean, he has managed a team. I mean, Bayern are a team of superstars, but Sevilla at least were there in the game, and Bayern in the end they won it. Xavi Martinez scored. Uh, I,
Yeah.
I thought I mean, how is he still relevant? I mean, I still don't get it. But yeah,
There
Bayern
were
won it.
two disallowed goals, I think. Two or one,
Yeah.
not sure.
Two offside. One
Yeah.
by Sane and one by Lewandowski, I think.
Lewandowski. Yeah.
But I think it's very difficult to compete with Bayern. Like,
Yeah, the firepower and
they,
everything.
like the energy they have, the quality they have, and like for the entire 120 minutes they were pressing. I don't know which team currently can do. I think we could even talk about like the change, the change in the type of football that is like being successful right now. Obviously,
Yeah,
Jurgen
that's a
Klopp's
very
Liverpool,
relevant discussion.
Hansi Flick's Bayern, like teams I think which can run more, press better, who have the more energy, even not the like the individual quality. I think are coming out on top.
Even the squad is so impressive that, like, if you see that during a Champions League run, Alfonso Davis and Kimmich were their wing backs. But yesterday it was Pavard and Lucas Hernandez. I mean, both of them were like. I mean, Alfonso Davis and Kimmich were very good, but these guys like maintained that Bayern defense, and Kimmich went down to the center midfield, and they didn't really have any problem with the changes. And I thought they will suffer without Thiago, but they did pretty well without him, and they have that squad depth. Like they lost a lot of players, Perisic and all, but still they performed well.
I think Bayern is probably one of the best run clubs in the world, like in terms of their buying and selling as well. Like, but like coming to the previous point also, like, what about the pressing game? What do you think?
Yeah, I actually the first thing I thought was at the end of the day, the other Champions League finalist was PSG, which is still like a global superstar-ridden team. But I think in general there has been like a shift in. I think Barcelona also is like characteristically known to struggle against high-pressing teams, and a lot of the sort of pure tiki-taka football I think has generally decreased as a sort of premier methodology amongst coaches. A lot of the successful teams these days are very heavy in the press, play a high defensive line, catch opponents on the counter and stuff like that. So
I
I don't
think
know
this
if
is
that.
very entertaining to watch for fans as well. I think that Tiki Taka, in my opinion, was pretty boring. I think everyone wants to be as expressive as they can on the football field.
Yeah, and I think historically also the Champions League winning sides have, I think like Real Madrid's longest streak of Champions League wins, most of their teams were heavily counter-attack based as well, pressing and breaking on the counter. And Klopp's Liverpool, maybe not last season, but the 3 seasons before that was completely very high pressing and counter-attacking. So yeah, I don't know if that will continue as a trend in all top leagues for the next few years. Yeah, I think one thing I find very strange is how much so many teams insist on playing out from the back, even though I don't think every team has the goalkeeper and two centre backs to do that. And the number of goals conceded due to errors due to the more hyper modern style of playing is, I think, unnecessarily high.
Okay, so I think we discussed quite a lot of games, quite interesting points being brought up. We'll have another banger of an Arsenal versus Liverpool. You want to do predictions for that, or we'll just end it here then?
Why do you want to get
What's your
depressed, bro?
I mean, Arsenal 2-0 for me.
Yeah,
Oh my
easy,
God.
bro, easy. 2-0,
Bro, you
I
look at
think
the
we might
last two
concede
games.
one.
Just
I think
look at the last two
it's
games.
going to be 2-1 in my opinion. 2-1.
Hmm.
2-1 to Arteta's tricky Reds.
I don't want to give a prediction to this delusional panel.
Okay, I feel Arsenal is going to play with a lot of heart, but I feel it's going to be a draw.
You're saying
Basically, not
Liverpool
making
won't
mistakes.
win in front of there's no fans also. So
But
like,
the
what
empty
is
cup.
there to?
I think that is the best time to go to Anfield. No fans, best chance we'll ever get to win there.
That is okay, but like, how I don't get it. Why you would not have like Liverpool as clear favorites? But
And no one cares about Utsav's opinion, so we'll end the video here. Goodbye.